Welcome to the 6 Reasons to Consider a TAFE to University Pathway 7 webinar. My name is Rachel and I work as a student advisor here at Bendigo TAFE. I also have the lovely Steph from La Trobe University who will be joining me later this evening. Now, before we get started, I just want to run through some netiquette for this webinar. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions throughout. Please type any questions into the Q&A button and you can see at the bottom of your screen. Alex will be your moderator for today's session. She'll be answering some of the questions throughout the webinar. If your question is not answered during the webinar, we will address the question at the end of the webinar. Please note that we will not be utilising the raise hand function in tonight's webinar. And it's just a reminder to please be respectful of the rights, privacy, safety, opinions and belief of others and demonstrate appropriate and respectful behaviour and use of language. So we really hope you enjoy this webinar and also our virtual open day. So now let's get straight into it. Our first reason to consider a TAFE to uni pathway, it's easier entry. So TAFE doesn't base our course selection on ATAR scores, nor do we require you to have completed certain secondary school subjects. So these are often called prerequisites. So prerequisites are subjects or conditions that you must complete in order to receive an offer. An example of this, if you're wanting to go and do a Bachelor of Nursing, they may require you to have chosen one or two of the following subjects, maybe a health and human development, a maths, PE, or any science on top of that, and then receive a certain study score for those subjects along with an ATAR. TAFE does not have any prerequisite subjects. You may need to get stuff like a working with children check if you were going to do early childhood, but there's no specific subjects or prerequisites or even a Year 12 qualification. And although TAFE provides qualifications which leads to hundreds of really well-paid and meaningful careers, some areas you do actually require a degree. So I'll talk about these a little bit later. Number 2 is we have a diverse range of study options. Often people think TAFEs are only tradies or people that don't go off to uni and do a degree, but that's not true. We offer a diverse range of study options, which are listed on the screen here, but we have everything from accounting, nursing, hospitality, or education. And some of these courses too are included in our free TAFE course options. Now, I'm not going to get into the free TAFE, but we have Michael who's also speaking tonight in another webinar about free TAFE. But in a nutshell, it means that you will not be charged a tuition fee, which is the biggest course associated with a TAFE course. Now, with such a diverse range of study options, I just quickly wanted to touch base on an interesting slide about employment outcomes after TAFE and uni. So TAFE employment outcomes are just as great, if not even higher than if you have a degree. So if we have a look here at the figures on this table, it does compare the 2019 graduate median salary for someone who has completed a degree course. So these courses are typically 3 to 4 years in length. And once you come out and you graduate, the average salary is $62,600. Now, if you compare that with a vet level course, which you do at TAFE, a TAFE qualification, they're 6 to 18 months duration, and your median salary would be about $59,100. Now, you're probably thinking, why am I talking about this when it's $3,000 less a year? But I don't really think that it's a fair comparison. If you were to compare it with another course that is 4 years in time, so let's say an apprenticeship in construction or plumbing, that's 4 years, very similar time frame. You'd be earning money throughout your 4 years, so you earn and learn at the same time. And then on average, you'd be paid $65,000 the first year out. Is actually $3,500 roughly more than what you would get if you finished your degree level course. So far you realise you can go to TAFE without an ATAR or even a Year 12. You don't need your prerequisites. You'll be likely to get a job working in the industry or get a job. And you have a diverse selection of courses. But TAFE also offers a smoother transition. So we do have small class sizes. At uni, you might be expected to attend lectures and they may have hundreds of other students in the one room and you'll go off to different workshops and tutorials with different people. Here, it's similar to a school environment. You'll be in the same class and you'll start and finish with the same students. You'll also make friends. You'll have a really good relationship with the teacher. It'll be that really individualized attention. TAFE also does provide an environment where you can build on those study skills, you can develop industry knowledge, and you can also boost your confidence before going to university. And in some areas, it's really hands-on learning as well. Number 4, university partnerships. So if you're a student that may require some extra support or time to build their skills, knowledge, and gain that confidence, Bendigo TAFE has a range of pathways and guaranteed pathways across universities in Australia. So you can again find all of these on our website, but I've listed them all here on the page. Now, obviously we have La Trobe University, but if you're wanting to go to Melbourne later, you can look at Vic Uni or Swinburne. If you wanted to go to Ballarat or somewhere like that, you could look at Fed Uni. So we do have a lot of different partnerships. Not only are these on our website, but they are also in our 2021 course guide. Now, I wanted to break it down a little bit because it can get a bit complicated. There's a lot of terminology that gets thrown around, and I do not want to confuse you or lead you down the wrong direction. But I put an example here of Bendigo TAFE to La Trobe University pathway options within the health and community services area. So I want to say it's very imperative that you do your own research and you take a look at your chosen course pathway. So for instance, we have a guaranteed entry. So if you look at the certificate for in allied health assistance, it is a guaranteed entry into the Bachelor of Health Science. So that means if you successfully complete that course in the grey there with Kangan, then you will get a guaranteed place into the Bachelor of Health Science at La Trobe University Bendigo. Then we have something called guaranteed places. So Steph will talk about this a little bit later, but a guaranteed place is a capped number of students that is allowed. So essentially it's like La Trobe University saying they're going to save 20 spots for Bendigo TAFE students who complete this course. Now, if 40 students from Bendigo TAFE were wanting to enter that, not everybody would be offered a place. So it's really important you look if it's guaranteed entry or a guaranteed place. Then we have the credits. So this will, on that does list the number of units and also the time that you get in order to do that. So if we look here onto the Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care, you'll get 180 credits, which is equivalent to 1.5 years study. So you would enter that course 1.5 years in. So you'd go midway through your second year at university. Number 5, this is a good one, saving money. Now we all like money. Studying at TAFE is obviously a lot cheaper than university. And there was a study done in 2017 and it showed that 1 in 3 students were dropping out of uni without completing their degree within 7 years. Unfortunately, if you do drop out, there's nothing wrong with that. You realize it isn't maybe the course that you wanted to do. You're still going to receive your first year's HECS debt. So that doesn't go away because you didn't finish the course. Depending on what degree that you've chosen to do, it can be around the $10,000 mark. It could be a little bit less or a little bit more, and you're still going to have to pay back that fee. But if you undertook that course at TAFE, it's a really good eye-opener and foundation level to find out if you really do like that industry, and you may also get a bit of hands-on learning. So it really gives you a good idea, and obviously it is a lot less money. The number 2 reason why you can save money is at uni, obviously it's a lot more expensive than TAFE, but if you did one course here with us as a TAFE in the first year level, and it's a diploma level, often you can go straight into the second year of university. So if you're comparing a TAFE level course and a first year uni course, TAFE year 1 TAFE diploma level course is a lot less than a university course. So again, you're jumping into the second year of university and you'd only be paying for your TAFE level university. On top of that, I will mention it again, but our free TAFE courses, you may actually get your tuition free for that course and then jump into the second year course. Obviously, the free TAFE areas are quite popular. So if it was something like nursing that you're wanting to get into, you should really lodge your details in as soon as possible because those places are capped as well. And I really suggest getting in as quick as possible. And on top of that, if you move away to study, there's also that commuting and relocating expenses that are often overlooked. So if you're spending more time studying at your local TAFE, it can be a lot more affordable. TAFEs are often very close to home, and obviously they're in Bendigo, so nice and close. And moving away, people often overlook this or think it's silly when I talk about it. But if you're studying a new course in a new area that's unfamiliar to you, then you're moving away from home and you don't have your support network. It can be really hard to finish courses. So if you need that extra year to stay in Bendigo and complete your course, if you're wanting to leave, it's that extra no relocation fees, you're studying close, you've got your familiar surrounds. And lastly, you can start earning sooner. Obviously, the TAFE qualifications are a lot less in length in time. They are 6 to 12 months, some are 18 months, but when a uni course can take up to 3 to 4 years typically, you have a qualification in its own right. So with your TAFE qualification, once you receive that, you can enter work within that industry. And then if you choose that you want to continue studying, then you can go on to continue studying. So if you need any more help, we have the Skills and Job Centre. They're a fantastic team there. I put their details up the top. And we also can request it online to book a meeting. We also have obviously our live one-on-one chats. But more importantly, I have Steph here, the lovely Steph from La Trobe University. Thank you so much for joining me and being so patient.
Thanks for having me today, Rachel.
That's okay. So obviously working at Bendigo TAFE, I do get a lot of questions, and I'm sure for any of those current TAFE students or anyone looking to go at La Trobe and they're worried that they won't get the right ATAR or the prerequisites, you'd get some very similar questions. So I'm going to shoot a few questions at you and hopefully you can help us out. And then I will stop sharing my screen in a moment so we can see your face. But firstly, I just wanted to chat about pathway options that you have with Bendigo TAFE. And can you provide any specific pathway study areas?
Yep, absolutely. So earlier in your presentation, Rachel, you showed a graph with some great examples of some of the really popular pathway options for Bendigo TAFE students who might be wishing to pursue furthering their studies with La Trobe Uni in Bendigo. So you showed some examples for nursing, community services, early childhood education, and health sciences. And those are just some of the formal pathways that we have in place to make it easier for Bendigo TAFE students to transition across to La Trobe. There are many other pathways though, and these include business and accounting, engineering, outdoor education, and creative arts pathways. And I guess the great thing about our partnership with Bendigo TAFE is that it enables students to transition to La Trobe using their TAFE qualification to gain entry into a degree. And so they don't have to worry about having completed Year 12 or particular subject prerequisites at high school that you mentioned earlier. And they may also be eligible for credit based on their prior learning with TAFE, which means they get to finish their degree earlier, which is a great bonus as well.
Awesome. So for our current students at Bendigo TAFE, what would be the process of applying for a course at La Trobe University now?
So it depends really on the degree that you're looking to apply for at university. Many of the courses with La Trobe you can apply directly to us, and that's a straightforward online application process. It's free and you're able to select the course that you want to apply for and the campus that you want to study at, and then upload your official certificate for or diploma transcripts. Your application then goes to our admissions and selection team, who will assess your application and provide you with an outcome. If you are wanting to apply for multiple courses, however, you will need to apply through VTAC. But there is a lot more information on our website for how to apply depending on what the course is that you're interested in.
Awesome. It sounds like it's a pretty easy process online, which sounds really good. And they can jump on there at any time. Just a question following that. Are there guaranteed pathways with La Trobe University Bendigo?
Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, many of the pathways that we have on offer with our partnership with Bendigo TAFE, you will be able to gain direct entry based on having completed that relevant certificate for or diploma. However, for some courses, as you also touched on, they do have a cap, limited numbers in that course. So that's particularly in the allied health and nursing areas. So in that case, you will still need to apply for the course, and then you'll be assessed based on competitive selection.
Okay, thank you for that. And I touched on it briefly earlier, but what would you say the benefits were of completing a double qualification, as in a TAFE qualification, then a university qualification?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. And there's so many benefits to entering into a degree at university after having first completed a TAFE qualification. So firstly, you'll already have a bit of an understanding in the area that you're looking to further your studies in, which is great. And you may also have employment in that field, which is also fantastic. In some cases, depending on your employment or your industry, you may be required to upskill to a university degree in order to progress in your career and increase your earning capacity. Another great reason, as I also mentioned earlier, having to gain entry into a degree without having that ATAR or meeting those subject prerequisites from high school. And you can gain entry just based on having a TAFE qualification, which is fantastic. I guess also a really positive benefit of having that TAFE qual and your university qualification is that you're going to have a really well-rounded educational experience, having both completed both TAFE and university studies. So your TAFE study, typically more hands-on, practical-based learning, and then you also have your university study, which is typically more theoretical-based learning. And you also have multiple qualifications, which always look amazing on a resume.
Yes, that's a really good answer. Thank you so much. Now, Steph, is your role at La Trobe dedicated for those transition students? So maybe someone looking to go from TAFE to university?
Yeah, so we have an abundance of supports available to students that are looking to transition from Bendigo TAFE to La Trobe, and I'm just one of them. But yes, prior to COVID times, I would be down at Bendigo TAFE talking to students in their classrooms, talking them through their options, their next steps, their pathways, etc. So we are here at La Trobe to help make that transition across to university as smooth and seamless as possible. And that's right through from support with your application to study with us, through to workshops that we put on to help students learn how to academically write and how to academically reference correctly, which is a skill that they may not have learnt at TAFE. And then as well as our teaching staff being accessible to our students, they're friendly and they want to see our TAFE transition students succeed in their degree. Also, if you're an Australian citizen, then you're eligible for Commonwealth Supported Place and the HEX Help Scheme, which is where the government picks up a portion of your fees and you can defer the remaining amount until your income reaches a certain threshold. So that needn't be a barrier to pursuing furthering your studies. And I guess also just on that, it is a common misconception that most students at university are people that have come straight from Year 12. In fact, we have many students at La Trobe, particularly at the Bendigo campus and our other regional campuses, that have come through TAFE pathways or who are mature students, and they're juggling personal commitments, family, work commitments, as well as study commitments. So you're not alone in pursuing that pathway, and it's definitely more achievable than you may have originally thought.
Awesome. That sounds really helpful. And it's always really nice to know that there's a really friendly, happy face at the end of it. So I guess people can really know that everyone there really knows what they're talking about. And obviously, you've been working in the industry for quite a while as well. So also, I thought it might be worth touching on if you have any upcoming events that are current students that maybe want a pathway into La Trobe.
Yep, that's a great question because we do have an event coming up next week, actually. So if you're watching this today and you're a current Bendigo TAFE student, we do have our transition from TAFE to La Trobe virtual event on the 29th of October. And I can pop the link in the chat function in a moment. So you can register for that event and attend, but also at any time you can register for a one-on-one consultation with our future students advisors, and we'll be in touch with you to discuss your options, your next steps and your pathways. So if you would like to book a one-on-one consultation, it's just latrobe.edu.au/consult.
So nice, easy URL to remember.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Steph. Now, I think, Alex, we will open it up to the floor to see if there was any questions that is for Steph or myself.
Yes, definitely, definitely. We have quite a few questions that have come through. So the first question that we have is, I struggle with high school and I really want to drop out, but I want to be a nurse. Should I go to TAFE first before university?
So it obviously is really up to the student themselves. If you are someone that sounds like you're a bit more of a hands-on learner and you're saying that you are struggling with school, we do obviously have extra support services on site. There's people that can help you with study skills, study techniques, any other things that you may be overlooking in that. We obviously have the very hands-on experience as well. And it's a really good insight to show you what that industry is going to look like. We are shorter in length, so it might be something that you don't want to do, but it's a really good start if it's something that you want to pursue, because you could go in through nursing through a TAFE qualification and then transfer up to a pathway if you want to do that. Now, in saying that, nursing is a very popular area and it's quite competitive to get places. Now, that's not to say that you wouldn't be able to get a place, but there are other avenues that you can pathway internally at TAFE as well if you wanted to go through maybe like an allied health option or something like that. So there's plenty of pathway options for yourself.
Beautiful. Thanks, Rach. I think that's the perfect answer for that one. And the next question that we have is, if I finish my TAFE course this year and I want to go to La Trobe, but I would like a gap year in between, is this an option?
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally your decision after you've finished your study. Sometimes you just need a break before furthering, pursuing further study, and that's totally understandable. So as long as the formal pathway is still in place at the time that you're looking to apply for the La Trobe course, then yeah, it's just the same process. So you just submit your application in the intake period before you're wanting to commence, and then it goes off and is assessed.
Wonderful. Thanks, Steph. The next question that we have is TAFE easier to get into? For instance, is there a waiting list like there is for university, or are you more of a chance to get in?
It depends on the area you're studying. Like I said before, nursing is a very popular area and it does go in by first in, best dress. So we try to place as many students as we can in the courses, and we try to keep the wait list down. But in some areas, there are a little bit of a wait list, and there's no way around that. But we do try to get in as many people as we can.
Perfect. Thanks, Rach. Moving on, because we are kind of running out of time, I'll take this question that is from a person who has a PhD but is an Australian citizen. They would like to join TAFE, but they're not sure if any government support such as HECS is available. And reading that, Rach, I'm sure you might agree with me, it might be best if you jump online to the live chat and maybe chat directly with us. I'm just slightly concerned that you are, not concerned, but confused that you're an Australian citizen with a PhD, unless you have another take on that, Rach?
Yeah, so if you've done a PhD, obviously you can do them in Australia, and they are a higher level qualification. Now, depending on what area you want to study, if it is deemed a skill gap in the market, there may be exemptions in order for you to qualify for TAFE help. Now, obviously there is only support for a diploma level and above, but if you were looking at doing maybe something like a free TAFE or something, there is ways, but it's by case basis.
Okay, great. And I think that is all that we have time for tonight. So thank you very much to both Rachel and Steph for joining us for such a wonderful webinar. I personally learned a lot about TAFE to University pathways, so thank you both. We hope that everyone out there in the audience does enjoy our virtual open day. And like we said earlier, we are online until 8 p.m. this evening. So if you do have any further questions, jump online, chat live with our course experts, and we should be able to answer any questions that you do have. Thank you again, Rach and Steph, and we hope you all have a lovely night.
Thank you.
Thank you.